Hello all and welcome, and I am the MGTOW philosopher. And in this video, I'd like to talk about why you ladies out there can't get a man, and why we don't need you anymore. Now first off, let's talk about men, and what you don't understand about us. You see, we men are self-sufficient. We were made that way via evolution. You see, the man, he would go out for days, sometimes even weeks on end, foraging for food, seeking better hunting grounds, or looking for a new home. He had to be as self-reliant as possible if he wanted to survive. Now, women, on the other hand, they stayed behind in the cave and later on in the hut, taking care of the kids. Now, why wasn't it the other way around? Because the realities of biology required her to stay at home and look after the kids. What are those realities, you might ask? Well, one of those realities is the fact that she makes the breast milk. Another is the fact that evolution didn't give her a man's strength, stamina, and critical thinking skills. Hence, women didn't evolve to be as self-sufficient as men. They didn't need to be. This is simple biology and just plain common sense. However, common sense is not so common anymore, it seems. So these simple facts don't register with most of today's women. That because of how self-reliant we men really are and how much better we are at accumulating resources than women, that we really don't need women anymore. That's right, ladies. We don't need you. Shall I say it again so you hear me clearly? Okay, we don't need you. Now, of course, we like women. We like what they have to offer us, but we in no way need it to be happy or to survive. Some men think they do because they've never attempted anything else, but in truth, they do not. And yes, sex with a woman is nice, but when women say they need a man like a fish needs a bicycle, they're really stating what is true about men, not women. Men need a woman like a fish needs a bicycle. Let's look at this a little more closely, shall we? Men are strong. We have stamina and a lot more of it than women. If we didn't, we wouldn't have been able to chase down animals who had greater speed than us two-legged folks. We could run for 15, 20 miles or more until the animal dropped dead, either from its wounds or from physical exhaustion. Women have some of this from the genes they've inherited from men, but it nowhere near a man's capacity in most cases. Same goes for their ability to handle stress, which is why they always bitch and moan. It's why even in the Bible it talks about women nagging and how you can stone your wife to death for being guilty of this. Women just can't handle stress as well as us men, so they bitch and moan. We men are smarter as well. Studies done on adults, not on kids like that crap bell curve study, do not show any clustering of men at high and low ends, with the average man being around the same intelligence as the average woman. No. Men on average are more intelligent by 4 to 5 IQ points. That extra intelligence means we are more able to accumulate resources. Our greater levels of aggression mean that we go after what we want with more tenacity. Our ability to compete with other men being one of those skills that we've developed over time to compete for resources, something we're especially good at, competition, something women suck at, by the way, in terms of actually producing. That's yet another trait that makes us survivors and far more self-sufficient than women. You see, women, they're not as good at competing with men. They're not good at all when it comes to competing with men, or other women for that matter, in terms of accumulating resources. Now, they are good at competing with other women to get men, but that's about it. That's part of why women want things equalized so much in their favor, which isn't equality at all. Because in truth, they can't compete on a level playing field, so they have to handicap everyone else who has more ability and drive than they do so that they themselves can advance. Otherwise, they would never make it anywhere in a man's world. No way. Next, let's talk about the lone wolf. There's a reason why this term exists and why it's used explicitly for men. Because all this nonsense talk women like to throw around to make people think they don't need men, the truth is that you never hear a woman referred to in this way. You hear terms like angry cat lady, spinster, and other such pejoratives, but you never hear a woman called a lone wolf, do you? Why is that, do you think? Because deep down, and even not so deep down, everyone knows that men can go it on their own, while women can't. This is something that most people understand. Deep down, we all know that women are not well suited to being alone. They're not designed for it. Some end up that way, but not by choice, or it is by choice, but not by intention, meaning they made bad choices, which they were led to make by evil feminism telling them that they could have it all, when essentially you can't. Men, on the other hand, are born survivors. We can take care of ourselves, no problem. True, if we want kids, we need a woman, but if we recognize that the price is too high and decide not to have kids, then what do we need you for? Window dressing? I mean, hell, they're not even very good at window dressing as they age rapidly and by 30 are going downhill. Hell, they've already gone downhill by that point. And what about great conversation? Do we need women to have good conversation? Nope. You see, women on average are less intelligent than men, as we have already established. Not only that, but there are differences in our brains. So while women care about silly things like gossip, stupid social justice crap, and collectivist thinking and how global warming is going to destroy the world, we men care about different things like politics, real politics, not made up bullshit designed to scare the sheep into submission. We also care about our careers, making money. We also care about our hobbies and becoming the best us that we can be. Well, women, they don't care about that crap. For them, blowing money is one of their major hobbies. They love to blow money and have fun and gratify their egos by sleeping with as many of the hottest guys as they can in their 20s, and generally speaking, being frivolous and totally lacking in self-awareness. These are a woman's favorite pastimes, along with spending money they don't have, so they can put on 2 inches of fake up every day to stave off the grim reaper that is time, and get that next crappy handbag that they'll use like twice and then consign it to the dustbin that is their closet. Does that sound interesting to you guys? Does that sound like the kind of things that you want to talk about? No, I didn't think so. Women have nothing to say that we men want to hear. You women out there think a guy wants to talk to a woman, but no man who has not been totally feminized and white knighted to the max would even care to talk to a woman, let alone enjoy it. Women can be talked down to. They can be taught. They can be lectured. But talked to? Not really. Not too often. That's why the term mansplaining exists. It's not because men go out of their way to condescend to women. No. It's because women resent that they need to have things explained to them because they lack the intelligence to grasp something that a man is saying. Hence, he must mansplain it to them. Meaning he must simply explain it. But women don't like that, as they're supposedly the godlike superior race. So how on earth could a man have the audacity to explain anything to them? They know everything after all, right? Bullshit. Total bullshit, of course. And women resent the reminder that the little narrative where they're smarter and better than us is just that, a narrative. If I'm going to talk to anyone, it's going to be another man. It's only those conversations that I enjoy, and not even with other men per se, but men who are around my same intelligence level. That's the case with most men, I think, which is part of why I don't like talking to women. That, and because even if a woman were as intelligent as the man she's talking to, we still wouldn't want to hear what you have to say, because the things you're interested in are things like makeup, the Kardashians, and how brave Bruce Jenner is. Don't give me that Caitlyn Jenner crap. He's a guy, and his name is Bruce. And even if on rare occasion a woman did want to talk about politics, and she knew enough to do so, her lack of critical thinking skills and inability to grasp logic would make such a conversation into yet another session of mansplaining, because she simply wouldn't get it. And then she'd accuse you of being condescending to her for trying to explain to her what she simply cannot grasp in the first place. No thanks. Because of these realities, we certainly don't need women to talk to. And any guy who is staying up into the wee hours of the morning chatting with women and loving it is either himself nearer to being a woman than a man, or he's with a very rare woman indeed who thinks and acts more like a man than she does a woman. I'll let you decide which one is the truth the majority of the time. So, now that we've established that we don't need women to have someone to talk to, let's move on to the next thing we don't need women for, and that is cooking. Men haven't needed women to cook for them since women stopped doing so, claiming it was slavery. I guess the fact that we go out and more or less work for them to give them a home and food is somehow different than slavery? Or perhaps it's just slightly less obvious to someone of lower intellect, so people missed that fact, that obvious fact on the whole, that they're essentially doing the same things for each other. Anyhow, we men very quickly found out how much we need women to cook for us once they stopped doing it. And we found out that we need them nil, zero, nada. In truth, it wasn't wise for women to stop doing their traditional tasks. It only showed us how little we need them. It meant that we had to do those tasks for ourselves. And we found out what a big deal these tasks were not. Now, we know full well that ladies were simply whining at this point. Now that we've done their tasks, we've done their chores, we've seen how easy they were, we realized that they were just whining and complaining because they are lazy compared to men. Next thing we don't need women for, washing clothes. We haven't needed them for that since the advent of the electric washing machine. I'm not sure how this is even considered work, to be honest, or how they're being enslaved since a machine does all the work. Maybe if you don't have a dryer and have to hang the clothes on the line, that's considered enough work to be a bother, hence slavery. I don't see how that's slavery, but hey. Anyhow, washing clothes is so easy nowadays that any woman who brings it up as part of her daily chores is really stretching credulity a bit. Nope, we certainly don't need you ladies for this one. What about someone to grow old with? I hear this one all the time, and I just don't get it. What exactly is the thrill of having someone there as you grow older? I mean, really, how pathetically lacking must you be as a person? How insecure, how incomplete must you be that you need someone there as a distraction? If the answer is I don't know, you need to watch my video entitled Blue Pill Empty Man Syndrome. Anyhow, no, we don't need someone to grow old with. There's a reason no one calls women lone wolves. Men are far more adaptable to change than women, a state of affairs decided by evolution. Men needed to be able to adapt quickly, and they were the providers and were constantly being presented with new and ever-changing scenarios in their day-to-day lives. Don't adapt, and you died. So we can easily get used to being alone, and once we do, we see that it's nothing to fear. Now, those who continue to fear it think there's some great, big nasty waiting around the corner of old age that's going to make you regret something. Nope. The fear is just that, fear. However, in truth, there's nothing to fear. We don't need someone to grow old with. And by the way, kids and marriage, they're no guarantee that you'll have someone there anyway. With no-fault divorce and incentives to getting divorced, such as sole custody of the kids for a woman, lifetime alimony for her, and child support, well, those saw to that. So don't kid yourselves, guys. Marriage in and of itself is no guarantee that she's going to stick around. Now, yes, men are natural protectors and providers, and some might feel empty inside if they don't have someone to take care of. Well, there's some truth to this, and this natural bent that we men have towards protecting and providing. This is also how women and the state sucker us into marriage. No thanks. I have a brain, and it uses logic and reason very well. Hence, I'm no slave to my feelings, something the state very much wants you to be. It makes you easier to control. I'll pass on being someone else's puppet. Better that we men provide for ourselves and gain solace and pleasure from that. Yes, it can feel good to provide safety and security to another, but so what? That's nothing more than a biologically built-in reaction. Sure, it's a nice feeling, but inevitably, it's nothing more than a set of shackles that binds you to someone else. Someone who will, in all likelihood, take advantage of you as they don't have your best interest at heart. Even worse, they're empowered by the state to use this protective impulse on your part to sucker you out of your shit, and then incentivized by the state to leave you, that being women, and suck you completely dry. Women are incentivized by the state, and they try to incentivize you using your own protective impulses. The possible good feelings you might get as a protector, they're not worth the huge risks. Not even close. The same goes for kids. Want to be a daddy? You better get over that right quick, because to do so incurs a huge amount of risk. Whether you marry a woman or not, having kids with any woman means that you won't get them, meaning the kids, you won't get them, should the marriage not last. And if it is your first marriage, well, the odds are 93.4% that it won't make it past the 10-year mark. Or perhaps you're not aware of the fact that the average length of marriage in the USA is 8.7 years. You want kids and you live in America? Good luck. You might want them, but you won't get them. And once you get divorced, and the odds say you will, she'll get the kids, and you'll be paying alimony and child support, further draining you financially as well as emotionally. Sound good? I don't think it does. Now, I know that many men want to have kids. Women in the state will use that. And they do use that to sucker you into a bad business deal. Don't be suckered, men. Live for yourselves. There are many things you may and likely will have to give up compared to men of, say, 50, 60 years ago. That's just reality. Deny it at your own risk. Things change. Times change. And the man who can't adapt and change with them goes the way of the dodo, or at the very least ends up feeling unfulfilled, unhappy, and very broke. Hence the high suicide rate for men, something that is helped along by the very unfair system we live in that favors women and makes men's lives hell. You may want kids, but if you want to be happy and don't want to be tethered to some woman for the rest of your life, both emotionally and financially, it just ain't worth the risk. There are also other options for men, such as adoption or surrogacy. However, you need to be careful about the surrogacy option, as there's a window that exists after the child's birth that allows the mother to change her mind if she so chooses, and they often do. Now, the length of that window varies from state to state. However, once the baby is born, she can say, nope, I'm keeping it. And at that point, not only are you not getting the kid, but you're also on the hook for all the money you spent on the woman's medical fees and whatever else you provided for her up until that point. That's right. And if she changes her mind, she is in no way required to pay you back. Hence, she profits either way. That's right. Now, anyone out there, if you're still not clued into how biased the system is after hearing that, listen to this. Once the lady has the kid, not only can she change her mind, but she can also sue you for child support, even though she signed a contract to give you the kid. Yes, the system is most definitely against men and doesn't want us to escape the plantation and live for ourselves or pass on our freedom-loving, individualistic natures to our kids. Nope. If you're still not convinced that the system is biased against men, gentlemen, you never will be after hearing that. So forget about having kids if you're smart. At least until those artificial wombs become a reality, and even then, that option will cost so much that only the most wealthy of men will be able to afford it, at least for a while. I mean, hell, I doubt the cost of having kids via artificial womb will ever be affordable anytime soon, at least, as the state will regulate the hell out of it to make it so costly that it won't be an option for most men. You gotta love social engineering, how the global elites think they know what is best for you and how to live your life for you. Yeah. Anyhow, if you don't want to have kids, if you choose not to have kids, the need for a woman falls completely away. Once you let go of that attachment, that idea in your head, that having this, having that will make you happy instead of finding happiness in the moment, you'll look at women quite a bit differently. You'll see how they're nothing more than inferior versions of men who are easily replaced with your fellow men or by nothing but yourself. At that point, you'll wonder why you ever thought you needed them to begin with. I mean, really, what else is there? You don't need them to cook for you. There's takeout. And the fact that cooking for a man doesn't require much skill is we're simple in our needs. That means they're not needed for this task whatsoever. Not that many women these days can cook anyway. Most women can't cook as well as men. Conversation? Talk to a man. You'll get more out of it. Companionship? Someone to grow with? Have some good friends and you're set. If you still feel like you need companionship, you can always get a dog, but it isn't really a requirement, as those damn things have a lot of needs and in my view are a real pain in the butt. But to each his own. Housework? They don't do it anymore. And we all know that there's so little involved in the doing of actual housework by decades of doing it ourselves that we know we don't need women for that. And kids? No. Kids are something they will use to destroy you the moment they get tired of you. And if you ever want to leave, but they don't, it's something they can use to make you stay and remain miserable. No, thank you. I simply don't need kids. Pass. And finally, sex. The last thing on the list in my mind. A man needs a woman for sex like a fish needs a bicycle. There's plenty of alternatives in this regard, such as porn, toys, and sex dolls, which are becoming ever cheaper. Nah, no thank you. In my mind, women are obsolete in this regard. Also, if you as a MGTOW guy want to continue to have sex with women, go ahead. Most act like men anyway and have no problem sleeping around. So you don't need to buy the cow to get the milk. It's very easy these days to sleep around and sleep with women. There's no difficulty to it. You can get the milk for free. Don't need to buy the cow. So no, The price for any of these things, except for sex, of course, which you can get for free since women have become like men, is simply too high to pay. The white picket fence life, it doesn't exist. And if it ever did, it's not coming back. Women have strayed, they've simply strayed too far from the plantation. They've strayed so far that men don't even want them to come back anymore, as more and more of us are starting to see how good life is without them. Don't let silly propaganda posters and memes showing miserable guys sitting alone and then family guys not alone and they're with their family and they're all happy. Don't let those fool you. The pictures should be reversed, as they're nothing more than propaganda designed to shame you into accepting a bad business deal. Essentially, those types of messages are lies, something that is almost guaranteed when you're dealing with the state. Guys, listen close. Women are inferior in every way, shape, and form, except for their ability to act as an easy-bake oven and breastfeed the kid. And in the process of doing that, keep an orderly house, which we don't need them for anymore. Things they by and large don't even do anymore anyway, and that includes breastfeeding. So what are they good for? You know, once they gave up those things and stopped wanting to be women, they gave up the only things we needed them for, to the point where every resource both the state and the global elites can bring to bear is focused on indoctrinating and shaming men into getting married, because so many men are seeing what a crap deal marriage is and instead are choosing to go their own way. This is reflected in the fact that while the number of marriages has remained about the same for the past 50, 60 years, in that same period of time, the population has doubled, meaning that the number of marriages should have doubled as well, but they didn't. Think about that. Less and less men are getting married, way, way less. MGTOW is winning. It is winning without many a man even knowing what MGTOW is. It's winning even though most men and most people don't know what MGTOW is to begin with. We just need to keep on spreading the word and making sure that more and more men know the truth about female nature and what it really means to go your own way. Essentially, all we need to keep doing is handing out red pills, and the ship will right itself. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.